Time now for a bit of monologue work from Giles Whitehead in West Malling. He's thoroughly articulate and he does really recount some fantastic tales of youth. And this is definitely no exception at all. It's called Events Surrounding the Queen's Silver Jubilee of 1977, a recording of him talking about his memories of Tenterden Junior School and the 70s and events surrounding the Queen's Silver Jubilee celebrations. He's an artist. He grew up on a small dairy farm in Tenterden and studied art at the Kent Institute of Art and Design in Maidstone. So we're in that season, aren't we now? Let's listen to Giles Whitehead recapping and recounting some of his childhood memories.
I was 7 in 1977. It's easy to remember like that. Even at that age, I don't think I was ever that keen on maths. The Queen's Silver Jubilee was in June that year, and we prepared at school by drawing and colouring in Union Jacks. I also had a commemorative coin in a plastic box with a red surround, and I do remember thinking that was a very precious object. When I went back to my primary school some years ago, I was staggered by the size of the corridors. They seemed so small. I remember them being so big and wide, and in a similar way I always thought Mars bars were getting smaller the older I got, that somehow the company was cheating us out of chocolate. It took me a long time to realise it was just me getting bigger. Entering that corridor again, I was reminded of an instance when I accidentally dropped my hymn sheet whilst lining up for assembly. The hymn sheet had been reproduced on some kind of photocopier predecessor. I think they used some kind of handwritten wax master sheets that produced distinctive purple print. Anyway, I lost grip of my hymn sheet, and it floated off along the corridor, and because I wasn't allowed to step out of line, I couldn't retrieve it, and had to return at break time to write 100 times, "I must not lose my hymn sheet." The dominant hymns we used to sing that come to mind are "Morning Has Broken" or "All Things Bright and Beautiful," but it wouldn't have been one of those because we knew those off by heart. The assembly hall was also used as the dining hall. School dinners consisted of goulash and mashed potato and gypsy tart for dessert, or cannonballs, which was squares of Rice Krispies in chocolate, or sponge pudding, which came out on massive trays with huge two-handled vats of custard. Sometimes custard was combined with bananas to make banana custard, which was perhaps a cunning way to make dishing out more efficient for dinner ladies. At some point in primary school, I started taking my own sandwiches. My mum always cut sandwiches into 2 equal utilitarian rectangles from granary loaves from the bakery. Strangely, I remember thinking that children with pre-sliced white sandwiches cut into triangles were somehow exotic, and I longed for more exciting sandwiches like that. Desserts were generally a club biscuit or a yo-yo. I used to collect the empty crisp packets, Monster Munch, Outer Spaces, Fangs, Frazzles, Football Crazies, as you could put them in the oven and shrink them to around 1/10 of their size, building up my shrunken crisp packet collection. I was quite disappointed when they introduced those Stay Fresher foil packets. I remember the summer of 77 being hot, and memories of playing marbles in the playground was very dominant. I loved marbles. We had spaghettis, smoky glass, coffee beans, clearsies, chinas, and some people, whose dads were mechanics and such, had ball bearings to bash at your beautiful glass marbles. They looked glorious in the sunshine until they got chipped from all the knocks and bashes of gaming. In the playground, the girls would learn a skill through skipping games, whereas the boys would wander around shouting, "Who wants to be in my gang?" and all join arms over shoulder, creating an ever-growing unwieldy line, scooping up victims along the way. It was utterly mindless. Other mindless fun was to ask someone whether they were a PLP, and whatever you replied would be wrong. Because if you said yes, then they'd go, "Oh, you're a public leaning post, are you?" and you'd get leaned on. And if you said no, then they would cheerfully say, "Oh, so you're not a proper living person then?" Ha 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 ha. Me and my friend got into the habit of being goal posts, standing either side where jumpers would normally go, chatting as balls flew around you. I wasn't that keen on football. So it was a good way of getting involved without really getting involved. So the day of the Jubilee arrived, and all the classes set out from the school across the recreation ground to line the streets for the Silver Jubilee. Flared trousers and flags at the ready. The smell of hot tarmac dominating my memories as we sat excitedly at the edge of the road, waiting for the Queen to go by. I don't actually think it was the Queen though, but like other things, when you're 7, you just think it must be the Queen, being her Jubilee. It was probably the mayor or someone like that. But whoever it was, we waved at somebody under the hot summer sun of June 1977.
It's just such a classic anecdote. That is how we remember things, isn't it? There's always these rose-tinted spectacles about how we saw this and that, but actually, he's right, Giles, we saw someone. Probably was the Queen, don't know, maybe it was somebody else, not sure. And I just love that deadpan delivery. My friend and I got into the habit of being goalposts, and you could just see them, can't you? Just stood a few metres apart, just having a conversation in between them as the ball was flying in between. I love it. I just love the delivery. Brilliant stuff, as always, from Giles Whitehead. And, of course, in celebration of the Jubilee. We'll probably play that again, I'm sure, towards the actual Jubilee Day. But in the meantime, he's going to be taking part in Southeast Open Studios in June, where his studio in West Malling will be open to the public. You can go to seos-art.org for that one, and he has artworks for sale at the White Studios on Swan Street in West Malling as well. Go and find him on social media. He's on Instagram and Facebook at Giles Whitehead Artist, and he has some of his great artworks there as well. Thank you so much, as always, Giles. Just a genuine pleasure to have your work, and I think they get more and more amusing every single time. I love them. Thank you.